Transformers Age of Extinction. It's not all bad. In fact, there's some good stuff going on here. Better human cast, less juvenile humor, Gunface was pretty good, other things that you can aggressively type in all caps below if you can think of them. But still, even though it does have its fans, as proven by its massive opening weekend, Transformers Age of Extinction is by no stretch a good movie. Now I understand that that's going to be upsetting to hear for some people, but remember, just because someone doesn't like a thing that you like, it actually doesn't matter. Sunshine, that's one of my favorite films, but if you hate it, great! And by great, I really mean, I don't care. Think whatever you want. But we're not here for that. Transformers Age of Extinction. What's wrong with it? Let's go. The Autobots, despite having some pretty unique designs, are ridiculous. For a sentient, super intelligent race of alien robots who've mastered interstellar travel, they for some reason each have the brain of a 4-year-old child. They're spiteful, petty, brash, and appear to have no strategy in battle other than just to wing it? I'm not saying that comparatively to that of their comic book or cartoon counterparts, I'm just talking about them as characters. But if we were to make comparisons, wouldn't it make sense, like in every other incarnation, that they actually have a base of operations? In every movie they just seem to drive around, and I get in this one that they're on the run, but still, maybe focus on attaining a home or a meeting point somewhere that isn't just near some rocks, and then maybe establishing a plan of attack before they do anything. You know, as opposed to their strategy in this movie, which is just wait for Mark Wahlberg and Irish Shia LaBeouf to formulate a plan, who are people they just met, by the way, and then watch them stealthily infiltrate a facility, and then just brazenly break in anyway? You could just break in at the start. Just walk through. You're a giant robot. There is nobody who can stop you. But I'm being a little harsh here on just the Transformers, because to be fair, the Autobots aren't the only inconsistent and poorly thought out characters in this film. Everyone else is also an idiot, and don't act as human beings would react to anything. I want you to think of a character from this movie. Just picture them in your mind. Whoever you just thought of then, they did something inexplicable or dumb, or inexplicably dumb in this film. Irish Shia LaBeouf. He ran over those agents' faces before understanding the complexity of the Mark Wahlberg / Optimus Prime situation. Wahlberg could have been building a nuclear bomb in his shed. He'd never even met Mark Wahlberg at that point. He doesn't know. I mean, he's probably met him in real life, but, you know, definitely not in the movie at that point. Also, when he wasn't driving, he was just panicking for no reason. Now, Mark Wahlberg, he is a terrible business person and father and person. Great biceps, but yeah, terrible everything else. He spends his days inventing things that no one would ever want, like a robot guard dog. If you're a person that wanted a guard dog, you'd just get a dog. Stanley Tucci. He's perplexed that after downloading Megatron's brain, that whenever he tries to build an Optimus Prime looking robot, it turns out like Megatron. You're a scientist, right? You built this company. At the very least, you're a better scientist than Mark Wahlberg. Think for a second. Why might this be happening? Why would using Megatron's brain to build a robot cause you to accidentally build a Megatron-looking robot? Look, I could go on and talk about every character individually, but I want to talk about why the Dinobots are wasted and terrible. Every Transformers movie has the big thing. You know, something to draw in audiences. The first one was simply the allure of seeing live-action Transformers. The second was the promise of Devastator.
I am directly below. Enemy scrotum.
The third was the presence of TV heartthrob Patrick Dempsey. Age of Extinction is clearly banked on the fact that people want to see the Dinobots. Hence Optimus Prime riding Grimlock being shown from the first Super Bowl appearance to the very last trailer. But in a movie clocked in at 165 minutes, which in itself is inexcusable, it only dedicated probably, 20 minutes to them? And what's more, they didn't really add any excitement to the film. My reaction when I first saw them promoted was, okay, that's pretty cool, but they didn't do anything interesting with them beyond that. Yes, Optimus Prime rode one like we were promised in the trailer, and then they just smashed some stuff, and then they ran into the woods. So yeah, fans of the Dinobots. We'll probably never see those guys again now, so I hope you enjoyed that 20 minutes. As mentioned, the runtime for this movie is listed at 165 minutes, which is inexcusable for a film about nothing. There was ample enough irrelevant scenes in this movie, which meant you could have shaved off 40 minutes minimum. There's one particular scene though that's really worth singling out, but I'm going to let my podcast co-host Nick Mason explain this one for me, because he already did it much better than I could.
So he's an American inventor. He's got a 17-year-old daughter.
Yes.
Who we find out soon, because it's not really a spoiler, that she's dating a 20-year-old guy. And there's an entire scene where all three of them have an argument over whether or not it's legal for those two to date. And it ends with the boyfriend producing from his wallet a card with the relevant legal statute in Texas that enables him to have sex with her. Why is this in the film? I have two theories.
I did think that. I'm glad you brought this up because I completely forgot that.
Right. One is that, like, Michael Bay likes two things in his films. He likes escalation, like he likes the action to be bigger every time, and he likes barely legal tale, right? He likes those two things. And I think theory one is he's combined those two things and he's gone, you know what, we've had some barely legal chicks in these films in the past. What we're going to do is we're going to have a chick who is so barely legal that in certain states she's in fact illegal. And it's only due to this dude finding some legal loopholes that he can bang this
which
chick.
He carries with him.
How awesome is that, right? That's theory number one. Or theory number two is one of the producers on the film has a kid who is 17 and dating a 20-year-old, or 20 and dating a 17-year-old, and all his friends are like tutting and being like, what are you doing here? What is this? What's the deal here with your kid dating this other kid? It's weird. And he's like, no, it's illegal. It's legal in certain states. And they're like, whatever, man, you're an irresponsible parent. And he's like, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the relevant legislation and I'm going to insert it into a multi-billion-dollar movie franchise.
Into a movie that already goes for 165 minutes.
That'll show you guys. So they're my two theories, because otherwise completely irrelevant and a waste of time.
Structurally, this movie is identical to the other movies. You got the underdog, you got the hot chick, you got the secret government organization, you got what feels like an 80-day battle sequence. You got everyone searching for a thing that's gonna turn the tide in the Autobot war or something. You got two humans slapping at each other whilst Transformers do more interesting things elsewhere. And by doing more interesting things elsewhere, I mean engaging in some spinny action sequences. Sure, elements are different. Gunface. That terrible transforming effect. And when Galvatron appears, one of the first things he says is, I am Galvatron, instead of I am Megatron, like in the first movie. But also what's weird here is the human scientists named him Galvatron. And what? He likes the name given to him by a race he actively despises. I bloody doubt it! This movie, although better than the last two, is an exercise in tedium. And you'd think, considering there's 616 minutes of these movies in total, that I'd be able to count on more than one hand the amount of slightly interesting things that have happened. But I can't. Thanks everyone. Now if you're interested in listening to my podcast, The Weekly Planet, I've linked it below for iTunes, direct download, or at thetherifficcomicbookmovie.com. Last week's episode was on Transformers Age of Extinction, and this week's episode is on the best and worst Planet of the Apes films. Question though, even if you agree or disagree with me on this video, can you name one thing that you like and one thing that you dislike about the Transformers franchise? So yeah, leave your thoughts below or via my Twitter and Facebook pages, both ending in Mr. Sunday Movies, if you have anything that you'd like to share. Thanks everyone, take care.